He was running as if he was being chased, and he had something in his hand.
Breaking news. WRAL has the only video of a high-speed chase in Wake County that ended when the suspect crashed and ran into a restaurant. Hear about those terrifying moments from the people who saw it happen. And resignation calls ramping up. Pressure is mounting on a Democratic lawmaker accused of child sex crimes. How leaders from both sides want it to play out.
We're gearing up for a chilly end of the week. How low temperatures will go and who has the best chance to see some frost.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Good to have you with us. We're starting tonight with that breaking news you've been watching all afternoon here on WRAL. This wild scene in Wake County, a high-speed chase that ended along Knightdale Boulevard with the suspect crashing that vehicle. That suspect then running off and into a nearby restaurant in a plaza filled with people. First responders then taking him out of that restaurant on a stretcher shortly after, saying that he hurt himself inside with some kind of a weapon. Quite a scene. Sky 5 capturing almost all of it on video that many of you saw live here on WRAL. Again, thanks for joining us here at 7. I'm Dan Haggerty. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is live in the shopping center where it all ended tonight. Heidi, the people there had to be shocked by what happened in front of their eyes.
And there are so many words to describe it, and shocked is certainly one of them. Now, you can look behind me and see that this crime scene is still very active. In fact, we've got caution tape still stretched across the stream. Multiple first responders still out here hours later. Their investigation focused right here on 101 Kitchen. You can see inside that restaurant, there's actually multiple police officers at this very moment. Now, this is where Mingo ran inside and multiple people ran out when this all played out. Now, go ahead and take a look at your screens. You're going to see that video that we've been showing you. This is from Sky 5. You can see just how fast that Honda CR-V was going as it weaved in and out of traffic. Now, Wake County Sheriff's deputies say he crashed into one car, which you can see here, but damaged 5 or 6 vehicles in total. Now, we spoke with one person just within the last few hours who says he saw Mingo fly by on the road. He said he was in the car with his friend Jerry when they both spotted him.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I asked Jerry, I says, what was the guy doing? I mean, we knew he was running from the law because the law passed us. There was a Wake County sheriff and a white car behind him with the blue lights and the siren going, and all of a sudden there were some more cars coming. So Jerry got off the side of the road and stopped and let them get on by.
And Dan, this is just one of the most jarring moments to me, watching all of those people inside this restaurant pouring out into this plaza when Mingo ran inside. You know, we've talked to some of those people who were standing by watching all of that play out. It's such a terrifying moment, even to be on the other side of the screen just watching this happen. Now, tonight, we do know that Mingo has life-threatening injuries and is in the hospital at this time. Of course, this is a story that we will continue to follow. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Knightdale.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. I want to take you into how all of this unfolded here in the WRAL newsroom. It was around 1:20 this afternoon that Wake County deputies first spotted that vehicle that did not stop at an attempted traffic stop, and that's when the chase started on Hodge Road near I-87. And as it wound its way through parts of the Knightdale area, we launched Sky 5, and it got on the scene right around 1:30. Take a look at this video from Sky 5 of that white Honda SUV, CR-V, out there on I-87. Radio traffic indicated that at times speeds topped 100 miles an hour during this chase. And before Sky 5 picked it up, the driver hit 4 or 5 other vehicles, according to deputies. And here's some Broadcastify radio traffic as law enforcement makes the call to stop this driver.
We have got to remove this gentleman from the roadway. He is striking other vehicles.
Later, you see here the chase on 64 Business hits that car at Hinton Oaks Boulevard, spins out of control, ends up in the oncoming lanes on busy Knightdale Boulevard, and that's when the driver gets out, runs across the road into that shopping center and eventually into the 101 Kitchen. And, from there, they were able to take him into custody, and at last check, he was in critical condition. the suspect in that bank robbery as well up on Falls of Deuce Road Monday morning. And we also learned that he was charged with speeding even earlier Monday morning on I-87 at Smithfield Road in Knightdale. The trooper says he was going 104 miles an hour.
I can't stop thinking about how bad that crash could have been at the end, given how fast he was driving. All right, Brian, thank you. Within minutes of hearing about this chase, we had Sky 5 in the air and a push alert sent to your phone for you to tune in and see the live video. It's a story that we were the only ones on today here on WRAL, and our app users found out about it first. You can download the free WRAL app so you never miss breaking news like this. So we're getting to that time of year. We're going to have to start bundling up outside. It's getting colder and colder. I don't even think I have my heavy coats out of storage yet. We are expecting those lows to drop, though, into the 30s in some spots this weekend. Meteorologist Mike Mays in the Severe Weather Center with all the details. Mike.
Well, Dan, I haven't even turned on my heat yet, but after seeing these numbers, I think that's going to change. Tomorrow morning, we expect to be rather chilly. 37 at Roxborough, 41 in Durham, 42 Raleigh, 43 at Rocky Mount, 43 in Goldsboro, 44 at Fayetteville, but even colder as we start our Friday. Take a look at some of these numbers. More 30s showing up, 39 at Durham, 36 at South Hill, plenty of 30s showing up in the Sandhills, Sanford, Siler City, Pittsburgh. You guys should have 30s for lows on Friday. And with that, there could be a light scattered frost in spots over toward the Sandhills and up in our northern counties in southern Virginia. And an even colder start is expected on Saturday from what I've looked at today. 39 in Raleigh, that would be our coldest low we've had so far this season. 38 in Goldsboro, 33 in South Hill, 33 at Roxborough. The frost could be more widespread as well that morning. Coming up, there is a weather pattern change. I'll highlight when that occurs. It's coming up.
All right, talk to you then. Thank you, Mike. A new congressional map is now in place in our state. The State House gave final approval to the changes in eastern North Carolina today. So Republicans redrew the map as part of a national redistricting fight. This map means that it is very likely, almost a certainty, that Republicans pick up a seat in Congress there next year. Democrats have criticized this process. They've even called it racist. One of North Carolina's only black lawmakers, one of only 3 in Congress, Don Davis, is likely to lose his seat. Republicans have said that the move wasn't based on race and said it was needed to protect President Trump's agenda. We've heard from leaders in both parties tonight. Governor Josh Stein said, quote, "True leadership is knowing when and whether to use your power. Republican legislative leaders are abusing their power to take away yours." Senate Leader Phil Berger reacted, saying Senate Republicans are fighting back against Democrat schemes that harm the American people and try to silence those who support President Trump. Lawmakers chose not to share the list of members who will weigh whether or not to kick out one of their colleagues. Another big story happening in the legislature. We've reported a lot in recent weeks about Representative Cecil Brockman. The Democrat from Guilford County faces child sex crime charges and is in jail currently. And it appears he faces 2 options at this point. One being to resign, 2 to get expelled from the General Assembly. WRAL's Paul Spey is joining us now live in studio. So, Paul, it's been 2 weeks since he got arrested, but technically he is still in his seat right now.
That's right. Pressure is mounting on that North Carolina lawmaker, Cecil Brockman, to resign from his position as he faces charges for sex crimes with a minor. Now, his party is preparing a replacement. Brockman, if you'll remember, represents Guilford County. He's a Democrat there. And state leaders this week announced a new bipartisan committee that could potentially remove him from office. Now, the leader of the Guilford County Democratic Party told me today local Democrats are getting things in order so they can quickly replace Brockman if his seat becomes vacant.
We have plenty of credible evidence that he did what he's being accused of. So I would like them to then go ahead and expel him so we can get representation for House District 60 in a seat and ready to vote.
Governor Josh Stein and other elected officials on both sides of the aisle have called on Brockman to resign. As of this afternoon, though, Brockman remained in jail and he has not resigned. And he and his lawyer haven't responded to our request for comment. And that's where we stand today.
You know, Paul, so again, you had that exclusive interview with the Democratic leader there in Guilford County. Give us an idea of why she is calling for Brockman's removal now, not later, not after a trial. now.
Right. Well, we saw lawmakers down there today voting on things, and she's worried that the legislature will continue to take votes and do business in High Point, where Brockman represents, won't have any representation. So she wants Brockman to be removed as soon as possible. Now, you're right. That is a change in position for her. The day after Brockman was arrested, she took sort of a wait-and-see approach. You can see on your screen there her statement from October 9th. She said she was monitoring the situation and that Brockman should resign if credible evidence substantiated the allegations. And since then, prosecutors have published more details of the allegations against Brockman. Now she thinks it's time for him to go.
If he does not decide to, some things have to happen for them to oust him. Republican House Speaker Destin Hall announcing yesterday that he is now forming a committee to potentially remove him from office. Hall talked more about that day today. Did he give any timeline about how that will work, what it might look like?
Right, we asked him about that. Hall said he plans to announce members of that committee sometime this week. And then when they do meet, he's hoping they'll follow the same procedures that a similar committee used the last time it removed a member back in 2008. There's only one problem with that. In that last case, the House member was present for the committee hearings and given the opportunity to defend himself. Well, Brockman, he's still in jail, and his next court date isn't until about November 13th. Hall said today he's not willing to sacrifice due process just to make this go faster.
It's a serious matter to remove a member from the House. He was elected to be here, and so we're going to treat it with the seriousness that it deserves. And, if the evidence bears out true as to the allegations, then I expect this body will expel it.
Now, lawmakers left the Capitol today after some votes, and we don't expect them back for a while, so we don't actually know when any of this process will actually get started, when that committee will meet. So it could be a while before High Point actually has a representative back in that seat in the State House.
You know why? We're happy you're here for us, Paul, because we know you're not going to stop asking questions, trying to figure out what's going to happen next with this. It seems complicated and has no real clear answers at this point, but we'll see. Paul, thank you. Up next, a woman bonds out of jail after 3 high school students die in a crash. The message from the lead prosecutor overseeing that case. Plus, people that use TAP to pay like so many of us do. Well, there's now a growing scam to target people that do that. The ways you can keep yourself from being a victim. Before we move on to other news, we do want to take another look at that new congressional map that was approved today and talk about some of the people it will impact. Politics are the big motivator here, and at the center of it are real people, of course. And we heard from some people that live in District 1 today. Take Patricia Chapman. She is a 63-year-old CNA. She's still working. She's a Democrat. Lived in Wilson County her whole life. We caught up with her outside of the iconic Parker's Barbecue, and she thinks this change is not fair, especially since it may mean the end of a decades-long run of northeastern North Carolina being represented by a black Democrat.
I think it's very important, because it helped the people. It helped our people. A lot of our people need help really bad.
Of course, not everyone is on the same page with this. There's Aubrey Nichols. He used to be in sales. He's retired now. He feels moving to Wilson County, where he's lived his whole life, into a more conservative district will be a better fit.
And right now, I think it's leaning more conservative than it is liberal. And so I'm probably pretty satisfied with the way it is right now.
Of course, this move affects more than just those 2 people. It affects thousands and thousands of others. And we are hearing from a lot more of them thanks to some write-in comments to the General Assembly that were released today. Almost 1,000 pages worth. The overwhelming majority of those people opposed the redistricting, including dozens of self-described Republicans. Let's get you caught up now on the 5 things you should know tonight. A woman was released on bond today after turning herself in following a deadly racing incident. Fayetteville police told us that Destiny Jenwright and her sister were racing 2 weeks ago when her sister crashed, and 3 E.E. Smith football players who were in Diamond Monroe's car at the time all died after that crash. Monroe faces involuntary manslaughter charges. She, though, remains in the hospital. The DA told us that both women could face more charges. A Sanderson High School instructional assistant was injured during a fight in a bathroom this morning. Raleigh police say they responded to the school before 7:30 in this morning. During that fight, the faculty member and two students were hurt. The Wake County District Attorney approved petitions against 3 juveniles after this. One of them will be charged with a drug law violation. Also, 2 others will be charged with assaults. A large fire in Harnett County this morning destroyed a building. Crews responding here near NC 27. This is near Coates at around 5:30 this morning. The fire marshal says no other buildings were affected and no one was hurt, fortunately. One lane, though, of NC 27 is closed near Red Hill Church Road as that fire remains under investigation tonight. Construction is expected to start at Kellam-Wyatt County Park later this year. The 59-acre park is right at the Raleigh-Knightdale border. That park will feature community gardens, demonstration areas, and a pavilion. It's expected to open in the winter of 2027. North Carolina teachers and state employees are likely going to keep waiting on a raise for months to come at this point. Today was the last day of 2025 that the State House plans to be in session, and Republican leaders in the state legislature worked together this week to redistrict the state's congressional map, but they made no progress on negotiating a new state budget. Tonight, the Better Business Bureau is issuing a warning about something they call a ghost tapping scam that is happening here in the Carolinas. It's impacting people who use tap to pay, which is basically everyone I know. So the BBB says in some cases, crooks use what they call a near field communication reader to steal credit card information and then make fraudulent charges. These charges will then show up on your credit or debit card statements. Experts also say scammers could get close to you, pretend to be a vendor, maybe do a charity scam, or even rush a payment process. All right, meteorologist Mike Mays. I know, right? We all use that tap to pay.
I do too. It's scary.
Some of the things they're saying these crooks are using sound pretty high tech, right?
Yeah.
But that's the world we live in. So the world, the triangle that we live in has been dealing with some pretty nice weather, and it's going to get chilly, especially overnight.
Yeah, and it's going to continue, Dan. I think the final run of the State Fair into the weekend, the weather's going to remain dry and comfortable. 50 is what we had this morning. Not too bad. 75 this afternoon. It was breezy. We're at 67 now. The State Fair still going on, looking pretty good out there. The dew point 32. The air's very dry. 66 in Fayetteville, 66 right now in Wilmington, 51 at Boone, 58 at Asheville. Morning lows tonight. Most of us will be in the 40s. A few of us will be in the 30s. But as I showed you at the top of the newscast, more 30s coming Friday morning and also Saturday morning. And then the weather flips next week. We get rid of the sunshine, we bring in the clouds, the rain, and it stays chilly. And speaking of chilly, the mountains are looking at their first freeze watch of the season, likely to be upgraded to a freeze warning tomorrow night. Sub-freezing temperatures are expected on Friday morning as low as 28, and you could follow that all the way to the north and west across the Ohio Valley, the upper Midwest. We're talking about freeze watch in the light blue. The dark purple is a frost advisory, and the other shade of purple is a freeze warning, and it's just a matter of time before we see our first frost advisory around here. Maybe it could come on Saturday. We'll watch to see. Right now we're in a cool, quiet pattern. The upper level flow from the northwest bringing in that drier air, but we see signs of that flip coming next week. This upper level low will travel across the nation by Sunday, be in this vicinity, and expected to move in for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. This is the latest European model run. Sunday morning at 8, we see the rain off to the west. If you're heading to the State Fair on Sunday, the weather will be dry. We expect rain on Monday the way it looks right now, and it looks like it could be a fair amount per this model run. 8 o'clock Monday evening, we're still seeing rain. Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., we're still seeing rain. Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, we're still seeing rain. Another upper level low swings in on Wednesday, keeping the rain in the forecast, so it's unsettled. And along with that, it could be rather chilly. We'll look at the 7-day in a second. Cooler tonight, upper 30s to perhaps mid 40s in Fayetteville, 42 in Raleigh, 43 at Fayetteville. You will need a heavier jacket in the morning, later in the afternoon.
One last thing tonight. So run clubs, they're turning into the modern day hangout for a lot of young people, for a lot of people in general. New data now from a running app called Strava finds that new run clubs in the United States have tripled in the last year. The Triangle is home to hundreds of them, but we found one that takes their newfound community, you could say, to the next level. The OG Run Club. They claim to be Raleigh's oldest weekly run club. It's right there in the name. They started back in 2008. The club's founder says it's about running, obviously, but it's also about community service. The OG Run Club does service projects together.
When we throw a race, We're going to make it, into more than just a foot race. We're going to make it into, a rallying cry, something to get behind. So with every large scale activation or event that the club has done, there has been some form of giving back tied to it.
And here they are at one of those events, giving back, donating backpacks in this case. They partnered with the Wake County Guardian Athletum and the Great Outdoor Provision Company, and they gave brand new backpacks and school supplies to foster kids. They even had a little pizza party afterward. More and more people keep joining this club because of the physical activity and the community service and the social interaction.
When people run with another, there's a deep bond that's normally formed because there's like a certain degree of like, you probably shouldn't be seeing this side of me, but you are. So it's just, expediting the process.
That exhausted side of you, yeah, it can be a little vulnerable sometimes, but as long as it's for a good cause, sounds good. Great to have you with us tonight. Have a good one.